Howdy y'all, this is AR Cavally. Welcome back to my channel as we continue the still sodden adventures of Lennox and Zell and looking after the magical elven pinecone. So where we left off last time, they had found an abandoned or an isolated dwelling, stayed the night with a rather interesting character who may come up again later on at some point, but was not a big influence onto the adventure. Everything was peaceful. They left the next morning. And we will go back to our standard. So we look for our player advancement. All right, so they traveled through one hex. No adventures, no monsters or treasures. And I'm going to say he suffered from his dark secret because he couldn't actually get a full rest. So that's just going to be they went across a hex and he suffered for it. In the long run, I guess you could really say he didn't suffer for it because they all got or they ended up getting enough rest to get everything back to normal and dry, but I think I'll give it to him. I think I'm gonna give that to him. All right. Does he want to spend anything at the moment? I don't think so. Not yet. We'll hold off on that. Okay, 3 times for our weather. All right, 2, 1, and 3. So that oh, those are good rolls. Those are good rolls for us. So 2 is no wind, so that's make camp +1. Clear skies, so it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day out there. This is like the perfect day you could get. No breeze, and or at least yeah, having a little breeze is helpful. But as far as traveling, we get +1 to make camp and +1 to lead the way for it being a beautiful, beautiful day. So that's great. And so if we're leading the way, we're going to keep shooting that gap. And that's going to be, yeah, it's going to be mountains. All right, so let's shuffle our deck here. And move forward, move into the hex, and roll lead the way. Now Zell gets a +1 lead the way. All right, great. So he manages to find a good way through. Gets an extra success there. And we hit our procedure. See what kind of random encounter we get, if any. All right, the 3 of clubs. All right, so that's going to be a D66 roll on the Book of Beasts random encounter. 2 and a 5 for the mountains or hills. We're going through hills. Actually, I guess I should probably look to see if there's a better legend. Yeah, compared to what else is on the compared to what else is on the map. It looks like there may be some kind of different iconography. That's probably too fancy to be the, the right word I'm looking for. But it looks like there's a little difference from the type of hills, but they're small, so I'm still going to just use hills. All right, 2-5 hills for encounter tables. Let's see, I haven't used these, just the nature of the location. So let's just roll 1d6. See what we get here. A 4. Let's see what a 4 is for our nature of location. Mist gathers between the hills. All right, so there's mist between these hills as we're traveling along. And let's see what we have for 2-5 for hills. All right, no encounter. So the morning is spent. It's a nice, beautiful, breezy day. All right, well, I realize that, assuming these are supposed to be hills and not mountains, that I've been using... Okay, so hills count as open terrain, not difficult terrain. But now as I'm looking at the terrain types on the movement table on page 145, it says there's mountains and then there's high mountains. And so I'm guessing maybe these high mountains are the big ones right next to this, or maybe they are the ones along the edge of the map where you just can't get through. All right. Well, I should probably, for the sake of my pride, just edit that last part out because I've been treating, because it didn't occur to me to actually look at the legend on the map, which is what it's there for. So I've been treating these things as hills, but they're actually mountains. It's, I went through the hilly parts of the mountains. That I went through the foothills of the mountains. So we'll call that. We'll just leave that as it is. And these are actually mountains. So go through actually use the mountain information. So mountain 2-5. Okay, so that's still nothing going on in the mountains. However, as we are looking to travel, our difficult terrain makes it harder to forage and hunt. But it doesn't look like it affects anything else. So it's still good traveling weather. And we'll just say that there's mists between the mountains. So we're good to go for the first for the morning. We get through the mountains, travel wise, and no encounter. Now we're going to head up north, where we kind of got to go now. And it's really about time to start cutting into the forest. Now, just to make things easy for them, I'm going to try to cut through this path between the woods and follow. Now, that of course seems like maybe a good place to have an ambush, or at least a good place where travel in the area might use a lot. But we're going to count it as open. We're going to count that as open. So they travel, make a lead the way roll with a +1 for the weather. Oh boy, okay, so he does a good job. He gets 3 successes there. And let's roll for pull the card, see what kind of encounter. Ace. Oh, ace of spades. Let's see what that gives us. Random adventure site. Oh, okay. So, random adventure site from Chapter 8 in the Game Master's Guide. Okay, well that looks to be interesting then. 1 to 3 village. 4 or 5 dungeon, 6 castle. All right, so a random adventure site. So it's a village from Chapter 8 in the Game Master's Guide. So a village site. That actually might be a good thing for us because we are needing some direction. So maybe we'll find someone in there. All right, so it says to make a random village from Chapter 8. I'm going to use this handy session generator, which basically rolls up a whole bunch of stuff that you can use in your session. But since there's only 7 people, I'm also going to use this one to just roll up it makes 6 NPCs at a time. And okay, new session. I'm not going to worry about the new hexes. Pearlberry Village. Oh, there's a terrorizing monster here. Looks like we may have to get into some fisticuffs with a big monster. Okay, so this says that there's some kind of error with the name generator. But, well, nothing I'm going to worry about. So I'm going to take Pearlberry Village and turn it into a note. All right, I'm going to hit pause while I bring all this stuff over into my notes. All right, so as I read the village info, it's actually pretty interesting. It's a village, 153 inhabitants, which is kind of big. And it was constructed after the Blood Mist, roughly 1 year ago. So this is a new village. So they must have just up and moved from somewhere, or there was some reason for a bunch of people to suddenly get here and, like a gold rush kind of thing. It's ruled by a stern sorcerer and affected by a terrorizing monster, and is famous for a horrible massacre and eccentric clothing. I think what probably happened is that this village, just going by this, that this village some months ago was attacked by this monster, and this monster massacred a bunch of people in the village, tore to pieces, and the survivors, led by this stern sorcerer, moved them some distance. They would obviously would want to move away, and he was hoping, the sorcerer, that moving outside of this monster's range, maybe they found that the monster had a lair nearby, and he hoped to move it, but the monster has followed them, either has followed them permanently or knows where they're at and continues to, I don't know, maybe grab a couple for a snack every now and then. But that's actually, I mean, just taking those um, disparate pieces of information, that it's pretty large, at least for a Forbidden Lands village, and it's only 1 year old, and that there's a terrorizing monster. I think it's possible that maybe even that stern sorcerer is the one who somehow created this monster. Um, but it has 2 mills and one militia and one inn. And the Last Crow, it uses barrels instead of chairs and planks instead of tables, and that would make sense if, say, they had to quickly rebuild the tavern. The tavern keeper didn't. They had to abandon all their fancy stuff, and so used it in between. And where they're at, they're actually in this gap between the forests. So that makes it that adds a little, maybe they're trying to be they picked here to get business back up and running. Interesting. All right, so now I'm just going to randomly generate with that look at what that session generator has, and pick out some interesting NPCs from that list, maybe a couple more. I need, obviously, our stern sorcerer, and to lead the way. All right, so it generated actually some pretty decent NPCs that fit pretty well. Um, this guy, he's a disheveled, and he's a cultist looking for new victims. Depending on what the monster is, I'm inclined to say that maybe he's the source of the monster somehow. Um, and here's a lumberjack who obviously he helped build, and he wants revenge more than anything. I'll say that he wants revenge on the monster, so he might be an ally if we end up having to find it. Um, Here's Leofa, our trader, inappropriately dressed and pontificating. So maybe she's showing a bit too much skin for the Forbidden Landers, maybe. And this guard, she has missing teeth and planning to avenge uh, their dead parent. I will use our name oracle, kin oracle. Who is our sorcerer? Our stern sorcerer, nonetheless. Okay, 8 of clubs, not clubs, spades, 8 of spades. That's going to give us, oh, an Elven Spring or a Frailer. It was spades, so we have a Frailer. All right, so interesting. Although it makes sense. I find sometimes playing solo games that I don't attribute it to any kind of cosmic involvement in my solo role playing games, but it does seem a lot of times I've seen how these random events really fit one another. Of course, I've also seen a bunch of ridiculous stuff that I've had to change because it was, well, because it was ridiculous. All right, Jack of clubs. All right, so I guess uh, Rami. Yeah, that works. I didn't see one particular for Frailer, but I think the Frailers are actually they're more like Alderlanders, right? Uh, Rami or Rab? Well, they're both the same, I guess. They're pretty close. We'll say Rami. Rami, the Stern Sorcerer. Now that I have some interesting NPCs and notes on the village, I'm going to go and use one of my other favorite online generators, and that is, well, really the whole suite of things made by Watabu. I'm going to use the village generator, and I just did recently on my channel a review and kind of walkthrough on all of his generators and how they interact. So if you want, you can go find that. I'm going to set the tags. Okay, so the dense, I want the buildings kind of close together since the Forbidden Lands is a hostile place, and usually there'll be a wall around it. And medium, and I'm just going to generate. I'm looking for one that will kind of go through, will be about the right size. Population 140. And that looks pretty good. There's a path through the forest, so that seems reasonable. Population 140 versus 153. But we have a name already, which is Pearlberry. And it's 153 inhabitants. All right, so that looks like a good map, a good enough map, and it has some little building off here in the woods that can be something mysterious for us. All right, and I'll pause while I do all the other stuff. Now I have the map of Pearlberry built in, so if I want to use it as a place to run around, I can start assigning things. And I've put it on the map. So now we're good to go. And I think our first order of business is to see how dangerous this place is to us, because it Obviously, although we don't know it yet, it probably has not. It hasn't been on any path since it's such a new village. There's probably zero chance that Lennox has been here because he's been hiding out for a while. So we're going to draw a card and see how dangerous this place is going to be to us. All right, Six of Hearts. That's a good sign. They're mildly helpful. All right, they're mildly helpful, and I have an idea that we're going to be drawn in. This is kind of what I'm picturing now, just in my head. Is there's a sorcerer here, a frailer sorcerer, so at least half elf. So there's a pretty good chance, I believe, that he's going to know something about that legend. And I think somehow, although I have maybe a hard time saying it, at least initially, when he has, a pretty large village and they've already suffered at the ravages of whatever this monster is. But I have a feeling that in exchange for that information, Lennox is going to have to help them do something. They're going to have to help them fight this monster. So they come into town and they immediately head over after taking the place in, and it's a new town, so it's not run down. It's simple. It looks almost more like like a logging camp since things have been hastily put together within the last year, but things are clean. There is a sense of dread, a sense of nervousness about the people they come across, although everyone seems to be relatively friendly at least. Right? They're there for business, and there's a peddler just came into town, although he's not there for that kind of business. So they head over to the Last Crow, a cozy inn with the barrels. And they are generous with grilled rodent. Or they are generous, and they have grilled rodent. And I guess they're probably generous with their grilled rodent. And there's a noble in disguise who rents a room there. All right, so they're gonna go in and uh, tie their horse up, tie old Chauncey up there, and walk inside, order some nice warm food, and just listen, try to get some information. And as he's drinking, of course, it's a small village, and even though it's kind of on a trade route, they're still new to this area, so they probably are not used to getting regular travelers just yet. It's only been there a year. So they, of course, find themselves the center of attention, asking where they're from, what they're doing, what they've seen. And so they engage in chit chat and talking about the terrible weather that they've had the whole way up. They explain a little bit about finding the wall, although as Zell is getting ready to tell them about the fire demon they released, Lennox puts a hand on puts a hand on his leg beneath the table and gives it a squeeze. He doesn't want this village to know that they let the fire demon out, um, or at least, or even get the impression that they did that. And they make good conversation, and he brings up the idea, is there someone in town, is there a lore master, someone who might know about a legend? We're looking for a place. He doesn't go into a lot of detail about why or who sent them or anything like that, but he just wants to know. He's heard of a place, and he wants to know if there's someone in the area who can help. Well, of course there is. The bartender suggests that he goes and sees Rami, the stern sorcerer, who we'll say lives in this little area off to the side in that building over there by itself. We'll say that's sort of his wizard, his sorcerer's haunt. Let's see. Does he find anything else out? Hey, you guys look pretty new. Oh yeah, we fled of the since they're being mildly helpful. They get some information. Yes, our last village, we were attacked by a terrible monster, and so Rami led us from there to here, and we've quickly built this village up, sir. And if I do say so, it's a fine village. We've done pretty well here. Well, what kind of monster was it? Oh, it was a terrible monster, sir. Terrible. Oh. Well, I'm glad it's not around here then, right? Um, well, no, sir. We moved our entire village to get away from it. So, that's why we left, was to get away from it. Not answering the question completely. When he doesn't want to press anything, but he's a little suspicious now in the way it was answered. But he takes Zell, pays for their meal. And we'll say it's let's say it's 1 silver for both, and for horse feed and taking care of the horse. They're gonna walk. Give the horse a good scrub down. The ostler, the stable boy. So -1 silver. And feeling warmed, they go to speak to Rami, the frailer half-elf. As they approach the larger building, it's covered with strange and somewhat grim looking, even though he doesn't understand what the glyphs and stuff, the symbols mean. The large building, it looks kind of like a church building almost. It has a tower, a little steeple that sticks above, where Rami has some experimental type or magical plumb bobs hanging and swinging, and he knocks on the door. Zell turns and says, "I don't like this. Those symbols are disturbing to me." Yeah, I don't really like it either, but magic's not my thing. They like their weird pictures. Let go. If there's anybody here, this guy can help us. So the frailer, Rami, he opens the door and he looks them up and down, and he says, "Ah, visitors. Well, it's good to see visitors. The inn is down this way, though. The Crow, it's a very lovely place. They have great rodent." "Well, we've been here. They sent us to you." "Why on earth would they do that?" "Well, we got a question." "Ah, a question. Of course." "Well, come on in. and he invites them inside, and the inside is warm, and uh, physically it's warm, but it doesn't give them a great sense of warmth as it continues with these kind of grim uh, runes and glyphs everywhere, and it has the smell of almost of decay, which is even more jarring because it's a very neat place. It's very clean, but it smells as if there's something rotting nearby. Uh, and Lennox, he gives a sidelong glance to um, Zell and just shakes his head and smiles with his best peddler smile as they are led to a small dining or a small uh, sitting area. There's a couple of simple, obviously also newly made chairs, although they're a bit more finished than what they saw in the inn. So maybe he has a little more clout and he got some he got some better uh, furniture. But he invites them to sit down, pours them um, a little snifter, a little tiny shot of some nice spirits, and pours one for himself. Takes a sip, a dainty, a frailer sip, a dainty frailer sip, and so what can your humble host answer for you today? Well, we've heard a legend, and we're investigating it for our home village. And he goes and he explains the legend of the heart of madness and the pine cone and the princess. And I'm going to say I'm going to say that he does know it, regardless of what the cards get. But we're going to draw two cards and take the best of the two. All right, 7 of clubs, 6 of clubs. So as we're going, and this is actually our yes/no question. The answer is already going to be yes. Like I said, regardless. Um, okay, but there's no face cards. And I'm going to say that black suit it means yes, but he needs some help dealing with this terrorizing monster. Ah, why yes, actually I do know of Princess Nia. Very well, actually. Do you know where do you know where this castle she went off to is, where she supposedly left and met this creature? I do. Or at least where my people claim it's to be. I've not visited it. But up here it's a much more is known about the legend you've or where my people are, the my snooty brothers and sisters up north, you might say. They are quite familiar with it, and so of course I have heard of it in my travels with them, in my visits with them, even though they despise me for what I am. Oh, that's great. Can can you tell me? Can you just tell us where it's at? He of course knows that it's not going to be that simple, but you never know until you ask. Well, you see, good Lennox, you find a village at a crossroads, and well, really, I have to admit that need your help before I'm willing to give it to you, to give you the information. You can't just, I mean, I'll pay you. We got some, we have some good stuff here. We got beautiful crown. Oh yes, I'm sure you do. You seem a very successful peddler, but our troubles go beyond mere coin. Well, I can try. I don't know exactly what you think I can help you with. As you can see, I'm just a simple peddler. I've got my horse boy and a horse. I mean, I don't even really have any good trade goods at the moment. My inventory is running low. Yes, that's true, but you are well traveled, and I can see it in your face. I can see it in your eyes. You have dealt with difficult situations before. You're obviously well traveled. Yes, that's true. I've been around, but I'm no, I'm not a hero. I don't know how I can help you. Well, the simple fact is we have a monster who is terrorizing us. That guy down in the tavern said you guys moved to get away from the monster. Well, we did, and that was the plan. We moved a good distance, but it is still about. We have had terrible murders, people missing, livestock. And I'm afraid that many of our people are too traumatized from the massacre that this beast inflicted on us. And I need someone with experience like you, someone from the outside who can help me track down and stop this monster. Your horse boy, he looks like he's very skilled at tracking. Oh, yes, I am. Shut up. That's what I need. We need to find where the monster is laired. It seems to have followed us. I have strong men, I have good soldiers, but I don't have a lot of people who are good at tracking. Look, are you sure there's just nothing else? Nothing else that no, I'm afraid not. This is the deadliest fashion, or this is the deadliest thing facing our village. There is no other service that you can offer. And as long as I have the ability to try to get your help, and really I do apologize, it is somewhat forward and not very polite. It's true. But I'm stuck. And if you want the information, then you'll either have to carry on and hope you don't accidentally find this monster's lair on your own in your travels, or you work with us and help us defeat this monster. I can't fight this monster on my own. Oh, no, no. Like I said, we have people who can fight. We have people who are willing to help you destroy this monster. Right now, we just need it found first. And then we'll go from there. So if I find it, you'll give me the information? Well, it depends. The monster's of somewhat of a mystery to us, except that it's bloodthirsty. Well, that's not very reassuring that I'm going to get paid for putting myself in danger. Oh, you'll be well taken care of, provisioned, so to speak. But I can't say that I will tell you until this monster is defeated. Because if this monster isn't defeated, then my entire village will be slaughtered. I'm sorry, but those are the terms. You help us find the monster and possibly help us destroy it. No one wants to fight this thing hand to hand, I assure you. But those are the terms. If you help us, I will tell you a great deal. Where it is, how to get there, I think I may have in my books and emotions to a small library of books, probably what he could carry on his back as they were fleeing the destruction of the other village. What do you say, Mr. Lennox? Well, Lennox realizes he probably he doesn't have any better options because he has no idea where this thing is. Lady Sif, she either chose not to tell or didn't know herself. All right. All right, but I'm telling you, I'm not fighting this thing. Okay? I'm not a fighter. You may not have to fight, only help. Maybe you can throw rocks, cast rocks at it from from the village walls while our militia fight. Because we do have a militia. We have people who can fight it. All right, do we have any idea? Yes. The tracks that we have found seem to go off into the east, into the Ariana forest, possibly into some very dark woods. As I said, our soldiers are not trackers or hunters. But that is where we can go. We can show you the path that it takes. And then hopefully you can go from there. It follows a small deer trail from what I'm told. Okay. All right, well, we will rest up. And I assume that you'll help provision us for our trek. Oh yes, whatever we can. As you can see, we're not a very wealthy village, but we do have resources. And go to the Crow. Have them put your bill on my tab. I will pay for your room and board while you're here working with us. Well, that's a good start, I guess. All right. Let us rest. Who's the best to talk to in town to maybe find out more information? Well, I suggest that you go talk to Elfgar. She's our chief guard. She's in charge of the militia. She has faced the beast. Although it was dark, she has not a good idea. Back when it attacked our other village, unfortunately has marred her beauty. She's missing teeth. And her parents were killed, and it has driven her, well, to be a bit obsessed with the monster, which is not a bad thing at this point. She will happily help you in any way she can if it gets her ability to slay the monster. So starting a sentence with "so" is one of those things I try to work on that I need to stop doing. Lennox rises, agrees, sees himself out, and goes back to the Lucky Crow. Tells the innkeeper about their arranged benefit, and then is going to ask around to find the chief guard. What's her face? I just forgot her name. Elfgar Litwin. The innkeeper directs her to the militia barracks, which is just up the street, kind of in the center of the center-ish of town. And he goes in. The guards stand up, look at him, look at as he and Zell enter. The guards look at him, not really suspiciously, but he is someone new in town. And one of them pipes up and says, "Can we help you?" "Yeah, I'm looking for Elfgar." And the guard pounds his fist on the wall next to him and says, "Hey, Elfie, we got some people want to talk to you." And a woman looks, even without her more recent scars where she lost her teeth, where whatever it was smashed in her face, she looks pretty rough and tumble, like she's been she's seen her fair share of battles. And she comes out and says, what can I do for you? Welcome to Pearlberry. What do you want from me?" And he explains everything he's seen since he's come in. He talked and how he has come to her. And as he tells her that he has agreed to help track down the monster so they can go fight it, her eyes start getting hungry. And as he's talking and her eyes start to shine, he can see as the leader of the village told her, the elder told him, she was a very beautiful woman until her face got smashed in by this monster. And he can see a remnant of that face as she gets eager. "Oh, yes, yes. Come. Hey. We're not leaving today. All right. We got to rest. We got to get our provisions and everything. I don't want to go running off half-cocked looking for this giant monster of yours." "Okay, yes, that's fine. I'll show you. I'll take you out, and then you can find it tomorrow. I'll take you out there tomorrow as well." "So are you going to come with us? Can you get someone to come with us maybe? Give us an escort to help?" Let's see. My inclination is that she is eager for that. She wants to go out. She wants revenge. So I think she's going to be eager. His job is supposed to be to go scout. He doesn't want to fight, but he would like an escort. That would be great. So I'm going to say that I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's likely. Oops, there's that joker I keep meaning to take out. All right, 8 of hearts and 8 of clubs. So we're going to take the biggest, and she says, "Oh yeah, I will come with you tomorrow, and we'll take one of these other guys with us. We don't want too big of a group, right? We don't want us to give ourselves away." "Right, we're just scouting, okay?" He wants to make sure that she knows that they're just scouting, that he is not interested in doing some kind of death charge after this monster. So stick to the plan, all right? We're just finding where he's at. We're not attacking him. What I would like your help with is to keep us safe in case we come across something else. And then once we find out where it's at, then we can come up with a plan. Agreed?" Yes, of course. All right, so she spends the rest of the day escorting them just to kind of show them the lay of the land, to give Zell an idea, just to give him a little familiarity. And then they go back and enjoy storytelling and uh, chatting with other people, because he is still, he's still a peddler. There's other people in the area, and in fact, there is a inappropriately dressed trader. I wonder what they're pontificating about. Now, of course, Leofa, she is described as inappropriately dressed. I, of course, because I'm a boy, I'm thinking skin, short skirt, whatever. But it could be that she's inappropriately dressed because maybe she's wearing a bunch of furs and it's very hot outside. Um, so that's always an option. But he talks with her and does some trade talk, finds about routes, whatever, and let's see. Does anything happen? Anything happen in the village? I'm going to say it's probably not likely, but there is the monster. There's the monster. All right. 8 of diamonds. All right, so something happens. Some kind of encounter. Let's use one of our oracles to see if we can find something else here. Not traits. Let's look at our theme oracle. And if nothing really comes to mind, then then nothing happens. There's that other joker. All right, well, so I got both my jokers. So I'm gonna take that to read that something definitely is gonna happen. All right, 9 of clubs. All right, strength. And 10 of diamonds. Strength and consequence. So I'm going to say that after Lennox has been talking up a little bit more, one of the guards, maybe it's even her. Let's see. I'm going to say on a 6. No, okay, that's the one. So one of the guards who had heard the plan that he was supposed to go, he's a little unsure that he wants this stranger to go kicking up the beast, right? He doesn't want this guy coming and getting involved, regardless of what Rami or Elfgar say. And so he sits down and he stares across at Lennox, and Lennox can tell right away that this guy's got some kind of beef. What makes you think you're the right person to do anything with this monster that's terrorized us for so long? Look, friend, I'm only here doing a job because your elder, your sorcerer, has asked me to do it. I don't go wandering from village to village looking for people to toss me a coin to go slay their monsters. I'm a simple trader. Oh, that's not good enough because you're still putting your nose in the middle of it, aren't you? No, my job is just to find out where he is and to go away. You guys get to put your nose in the middle of it. And what if something does happen when you're out there? Hmm? Then I'll probably run away. Right, you'll run away and leave the beast right here. From what I understand, the beast already knows you're here. I don't think that you're strong enough to be involved in this. I don't really care what you think. I'm doing it because I've been hired by Rami. If you don't like it, take it up with him. I'm taking it up with you. And he slides all the food that was in front of Lennox onto the floor, and he slams his elbow down on the table and says, and sets his hand out for like a arm wrestling match. If you can't even beat me in a simple arm wrestling match, there's no way you deserve to go out there and fight with that monster. Well, now Lennox is just getting a little aggravated because he doesn't want to fight with a monster, but this guard is obviously not the brightest person. And he's not weak. You know, he did grow up as a squire, as a soldier, so he says, "Fine. And when I beat you, you're going to clean up all that stuff you just dumped on the floor, and you're going to put it on my table and bring me fresh food and say, 'Sorry, Master Lennox.'" And then the people around the inn are like, "Ooh, ooh." And the guard, he just kind of snarls and slams his elbow on the table again. And so Lennox, he grabs him, and then they go at it. So this is going to be a contested might roll between the two, and I'm just going to use like a standard soldier attribute for the other guy. All right, villager, minstrel, hunter. Okay, soldier. All right, so strength of 4. Okay, not necessarily mine. So we'll leave it at 4. So we have our contested roll, and let's see. I think he had might. Oh, no. Okay, he doesn't have might. It was endurance he had. All right. Well, at least he's on even even ground, hopefully. All right. So Lennox. Okay, so he gets 2 and a skull. All right, so he's got 2 successes. And because he really wants to make sure that he doesn't look like a fool in front of this guard, he's going to push that roll. So that's just going to give him, well, basically just one more die. Okay. So regardless of how that goes down, he's going to be down 1 strength, and he's going to get 1 willpower for his push, and he's got 2 successes. All right, now I'm just going to use his character sheet. All right, so this is for the guards roll. Okay. All right, so There I go with my so again. Lennox, he grabs that and he doesn't even really have a problem with the guy. He's sitting here making faces and snarling and then starting to mock him a little bit because he's just pushing him down. The other guy, he had two fails, no successes. Lennox had two successes, and he slams the guard's hand down on the table, and the place erupts into cheers. Yay! And then Lennox just kind of releases his grip, kind of throwing his hand back at the guard's face. And the guard's already red from the struggle. And Lennox says, "Now get my food and do it now." The guard looks around and he looks like he's not going to do it. And then the innkeeper, yeah, clean that up. You know better than to act that way in here anyway. You bring those here and I'll get you some fresh food to bring to our friend. And so the guard does so with a stone face, and he drops the platter. Not enough to make anything spill or anything, but he drops it in front of Lennox, and he storms out. And then Lennox gets even more attention and pats on the back, and I wonder. I'm gonna have to wonder if that would increase reputation at all. Probably not. That's pretty small. But maybe in town, it might be worth something, as he's impressed the locals. And after a meal, and maybe one or two too many free free beers from other tavern goers, Lennox and Zell head up to the room for a nice long sleep in a warm bed with only a few fleas. And they get a good night rest and happy dreams. So thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoyed it, and happy gaming.